So the first question goes that do you remember when you heard metal music for the first time?
Do I remember if I heard metal music for the first time? Well, I've always been into music ever since I was a little kid. If we consider Black Sabbath metal, which I think we do, when I was 6 years old is when I was introduced to Black Sabbath, and my life has been different ever since, in a good way.
Yeah. So was Black Sabbath sort of the kind of band that made you become a musician?
Well, it was Black Sabbath, and then some old, American hard rock stuff. Alice Cooper, Grand Funk Railroad. Certainly Grand Funk and Mel Shacker and Geezer Butler were two reasons why I played bass. Also, because my voice is low, I hear bass. I hear it more.
So, what was like in metal and rock that sort of like caught your attention and sort of made you fall in love with it?
Well, I've always been into music. When I was a kid, I did choral stuff in school. Played various different instruments in the band. And then I got in the school orchestra and I played bass, upright bass with a bow. And I really enjoyed that, and it just kind of progresses as you get, when you get serious about it and when it's not just a joke. When you really want to do something, you make your mind up and you put in the work. You don't always know what the work is, but you work at it until you have to find yourself. When you study music, they'll teach you theory, and they'll teach you, it's like speaking a language. That language may or may not be the right fit for you, because I have a very good ear. I'm very slow at reading music because I didn't care about it. I'm not into it from a theory standpoint. I'm into it from a spiritual standpoint. So the spirit doesn't involve thinking, it just involves feeling. So everything I do is based on feeling.
So what made you become a vocalist then?
My mother sang. It's just something I've always done. I picked it as a kid when I would watch cartoons and stuff that had music involved in it. I would always remember music. I'm terrible with names. I'm pretty good with faces, but I can literally tell you jingles that were in commercials that I saw back when I was 6 and 7 and 8 years old, because music was involved. So it's almost like just a part of me that I can't deny.
So what made you a death metal musician? Were there like some bands that sort of like sparked you to go to like more extreme with music?
I mean, that's a good question. I think it's just sort of a natural evolution. When you listen to stuff and you're into hard rock, and then you hear what we call heavy metal,
yeah,
and you want to kind of go a little further, and go a little further. So I wouldn't say that I was really pushed by extreme metal, because there wasn't really, what's an extreme at this point? You know what I mean? And what was an extreme even in the early 80s? It's relative. It's possible to become so extreme that it's simply not music anymore.
Yeah, and you were pushing the boundaries with Morbid Angel, obviously.
Indeed. And it's funny, when I hear certain bands, and there's a lot of vocalists who do this sort of cupped vocal technique, where they put their hand on the thing and they use that to make the sound. And I hear that, I don't like that at all. It's indistinguishable. It doesn't sound very musical to me. And when I hear that, maybe we're at a festival or some opening acts or whatever, then they do that. And I'm just like, oh, like this. And the rest of my band are like, oh, you started it, it's your fault. No, it's not. It's not my fault. I've always been trying to be very clear and articulate and enunciate, because lyrics and poetry are very important to me, and I have something to say, and I mean it. When I say something, I mean it, and so I feel like it's my job to make it clear, to make it to where you don't have to sit there and read along with it, and sometimes what you read and what you hear, it sounds like two different things.
I interviewed actually Isan in this series like before you, and he said that one of the main reasons he fell in love and had you like a big inspiration is because of the articulation, that it was so like precise and so clear that he wanted to follow that path.
Well, good. I mean, Ishan is a friend of mine, and I respect him. He has a great career as well. He's been doing this a long time, and I view him as an artist. He's a fellow traveler. He's interested in not the same things that I am necessarily. We're very different as people, but he is an artist, and he does stuff in a very strong way, and he has conviction, and that's important to me in any style of music. Is that I believe when I hear the vocalist, that I believe that I'm convinced that they are speaking from their soul or from their heart. Yeah, and I wish there were more.
So when you started doing like more extreme type of vocals, like growling, did you have some kind of like inspiration where you draw like mimic somebody, or were you sort of like immediately trying to figure out your own way to do things and sound new?
I've never worried too much about what other people do. I just worry about what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So it was important to me to develop my own thing. And
so you weren't doing like any covers, you just jumped immediately writing your own music back in the days?
Well, I've always written my own stuff. I mean, every now and then, I have played a few cover songs in my life, the things that inspire me or things that I would want to do. But some of the vocalists that I like a lot, they sound nothing like me. But they're people that I believe they're just great singers, really, really good singers. There's power, there's conviction, and even if it's not, it could be any style. This is not a genre-specific thing, right? This could be anything from extreme music to hard rock to heavy metal to even some pop, even some it's like blues music, the stuff where I feel that the singer is bearing his soul. That's important to me. It's the same thing I do. So it's not about a genre. It's about putting your own personality into something and doing it in a way where you're being honest with yourself and honest with the listener.
So when you started doing like growling, did it take long time for you to figure out the right technique for it, so you wouldn't be losing your voice after every rehearsal?
So I did have some problems in the beginning, and part of it is that I smoked.
Okay.
And when I quit smoking, you can hear this on the records, my voice got much stronger. And I mean, it takes a while. I mean, everybody has to find the right way to do it. I mean, at this point,
you were pretty much also a pioneer in that, because you didn't have like any examples how to do it, basically.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, the only person the people that I heard, Jeff Becerra from Possessed, and Chuck Schuldiner, and everything else was, okay, Kronos, but he sounds like, I wasn't going that direction. Lemmy, I wasn't going in that direction either. But there really wasn't people who had that kind of, other than Chuck and Jeff, that had this kind of, just guts,
So when you started the first proper tour with Morbid Angel, were you ready as a vocalist to do a long tour and play like show after show after show? Did you already have the stamina to do that, or was it like a learning experience also for you?
I mean, honestly, to this day, I'm still learning. A day that goes by that I don't learn something is a day that I've cheated myself.
Yeah.
So I always have to remember, even if I'm not hearing things right through the monitors, that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to push harder the hardest thing to do is to relax while you're doing it. That's the most difficult thing, and remember your breathing, because you can fight it, and if you fight it, then the next day it's like, sorry guys, I don't know if I can, I don't have that. And I mean, I think we're at 12 or 13 in a row right now with no days off and not much sleep. So I'm doing pretty good for an old guy, I think.
Yeah, you are actually. Because normally it's like 3 days at least, and then a day off to sort of like recover your vocal cords.
Yes. Well, I'm pretty good as long as I get sleep. Unfortunately, this tour thus far has been fairly sleepless.
Okay.
Like playing late, getting back to hotel, having lobby call very early because you have to catch the next flight. So it's 1 hour here, 2 hours there. Not like a proper 8 hours. If I can get a proper 8 hours sleep, 7 or 8 hours undisturbed, I'm good as gold. I don't need days off.
Are there like some specific foods or drinks that you have felt that they help you with the singing and your vocal cords, or in the opposite way, something that you have felt that they harm you with the singing that you don't want to take before the show?
Well, so I never drink before anything besides maybe water. If I'm feeling a little tired, maybe a half a can of Red Bull, just to, a little bit of caffeine. Mostly, water, not cold water, but room temperature water, and concentrate on the breathing. That's the main thing.
Do you have like a specific warm-up routine that you follow, and how has that changed through the years?
I do warm up, and it's just it's pitched. It's not. I don't warm up by growling. I warm up with clean, full body.
Yeah, doing scales.
Pardon me?
Doing like scales.
Yeah, scales, or just maybe not hard. This kind of stuff. But I have a loud voice anyway, so it's it's maybe a bit easier genetically for me to do. I mean, this is everybody's different. It's funny. My guitar tech, when he goes up and does a vocal check, and we all just laugh about it because he's like, check 1, 2, check. It's like it's not possible for my engineer to even get a real check because I almost whisper louder than that, so I get a little humor out of all that.
So you've obviously released a lot of albums with Morbid Angel and also now an album with VLTIMAS. So are there like some specific albums that you could pinpoint where you have taken a big step forward as a vocalist, learned something new about yourself?
I think, well, hopefully, hopefully I try to do that with every record. Now, we actually just finished the new VLTIMAS record, which will be out hopefully the first part of 2024.
Okay.
And I took it a little further.
So there will be like something like new things vocally that you haven't ever tried before?
Haven't ever tried. It's grown. I don't forget one thing and shift a style. I just add to it.
Yeah. Diverse yourself as a vocalist.
Yeah. I think that's more interesting to me. Hopefully, it's more interesting to the listener as well.
Of course. I have a couple of questions left, and the second last one goes that what were like your parents' reactions when they heard first time you growling your lungs out?
Well, my dad actually told me. Now this is many years ago. I think probably when we were just first starting out with Morbid Angel, and he said, if I would have known that this is what you were going to do, I never would have bought you your first guitar.
But now he supports you.
Now he's very proud because some of this is, it's probably a normal thing for a father and a son to have a split at some point, and not when a boy becomes a man, then the man has to accept that the boy is not a boy anymore. It's a man, and that was our challenge. And but as for right now, we're closer than we've ever been, and I'm thankful for that. But you know, some of it was me not feeling like that I need to be so rebellious, and some of it was him accepting that I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
But obviously you were also breaking a lot of boundaries, so basically nobody knew how it would turn out.
Buddy, I've been a hellion since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I mean, seriously.
Okay.
I've always been mischievous. I've always done, just, you know, I do whatever I'm going to do. Sometimes it causes me pain, sometimes there's pleasure, sometimes I get in trouble. Whatever, another day in life, right?
So last question, any kind of advice that you would like to give to a young metal vocalist who is just about to start their journey? Anything that comes into your mind?
Absolutely. So, have your influences, like what you like, hopefully try to have a diverse range of things that you like. Don't be narrow-minded. But more importantly, look in the mirror and make the person that you see in the mirror your best friend. And think about what it is that you are. Not, oh, I want to sound like somebody. Sound like you. What do you sound like? I've already heard somebody else. I want to hear you. What do you sound like? If you just sound like somebody else that's done something 20 or 30 years ago and it's better than what you're doing, maybe rethink that. And that's not a diss. That's an encouragement to be unique.
Yeah.
The more unique you are, the more personality that you have. That's what's worked for me. And I encourage everybody to do that.
Thanks a lot for doing this with us.
My pleasure.